Hey guys, Eddie Collins for Hobby W's here. Here I am, you guys, in Yucca Valley, and boy, have we got a story for you. I'm here with Mike Mocaby, and let me tell you something. We're gonna go ahead and take you guys back in time today, and I hope you guys enjoy this ride because it's pretty incredible. So, Mike, first of all, thank you for the opportunity for bringing us out here. If it wasn't for Mike, actually, we wouldn't have the opportunity to go ahead and kind of go back in time, like I said. So, Mike, tell us about this car and its history, because this is your dad's car, right?
Right. So back in '87, we bought our first Class 5 car, and we raced that for a couple years, and it was outdated. We had fun with it, and my dad reached out to Dave Parsons that built this car.
Okay.
And they changed the rules to do a panless 5 car, so they got rid of the original bug pan, made it a skin, and we developed this car. And it's been an amazing car. You know, it had some good runs. We were running an automatic. Nobody else was running the automatics back then. It's got a 3-liter Type 4.
Wow.
Cornet shocks. It just has been a great car. And
it's amazing to actually see this car. And by the way, this car, you guys, was actually in the pages of Hobby W's back in December of 1989.
Yes.
That's amazing. And your dad was in that picture as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your dad. How did he get into this to begin with? Where did his Volkswagen roots start, and how did he decide, hey, I think I want to go ahead and race Class 5?
Well, it kind of started with me because I was racing 3-wheelers at the time, and I was working for my dad, and I kept getting hurt. So my dad said, finally one day, he said, no more, you're done. And he went out and bought a 5 car. But a friend of mine, Todd Clement, was racing Class 3 Broncos.
Oh.
And so we went to a race with them, and that's when my dad kind of got hooked. And he's like, we got to do this. It's got a cage around it. You can be safe in it, you know, and all that stuff. But, you know, and then our second race in the car, I rolled the car. So we cut another cage off and put that on. So my dad was like, really? Come on now. You know, I'm trying to keep you safe. So, but that's kind of the history of how he got started into it, and then he just fell in love with it.
Wow.
You know, I think we raced, it was 14 years or 15 years in the off-road.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And we sold racing fuel as part of going out to the racetrack, you know, pay our bills for a little bit. And then we got done with that and started racing NASCAR stuff. As a father and son team, so.
That's cool. That's a kind of father and son story you like to hear.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. Now, explain to me though that as time went on, unfortunately, your father passed on.
Yeah.
And I know it's a little difficult to talk about, which is tough. So
he passed away in May of 2016.
Okay.
Unexpectedly. Probably the best thing out of it all is he died on Memorial Weekend, which is probably the biggest racing weekend of the year. You know, you got the Indy 500, the Monaco Grand Prix, NASCAR, the Charlotte, you know, Coca-Cola 600. So it was, you know, it was a tough deal, but
yeah,
we got through it. And then, so after he passed away, we kind of were going through all of his stuff and trailers. My dad owned a trucking company, and so we were going through all the 18-wheeler trailers stored with, you know, racing stuff, and we couldn't find the 5 car. We found everything else but the 5 car.
Wow.
And we're like, where's the 5 car at? And so we were talking I called up his best friend, Carlos Zuniga, and he said, hey, you got to come over to the house, check this out. So I went over to his house. He lives in Yorba Linda. We're in Orange Park. And went over to his house, and he opened the garage door, and there was a 5 car.
No way.
And he's like, my dad just had me keep it here and because it was safe at his house.
Wow.
And that's when I decided to just going to take the time and rebuild it and restore it and go from there.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I think it's really cool, and you know, hopefully your dad's looking down right now and just, I mean, the pride that he's got to have in what you've done. And I got to tell you guys, I mean, it's incredible to go back in time, see in the pages of December 1989, see this car and see his dad. But one of the coolest things is that here we are 30 plus years later, and you guys, the guy that built the original car, which is this car here, is actually here with us today. So Dave,
Hi.
good to have you here. Come on in, man.
All right.
This is unbelievable. And today we actually went ahead and recreated a really cool scene where Mike's dad, LYN, was actually standing shaking Dave's hand. And today we actually, I'm gonna get all misty-eyed, we had Mike shaking his hand. Sorry, man. So it's pretty cool, especially if you're a dad out there and you're looking at this and you're thinking, wow, this is wild. My son actually went ahead and brought one of my dreams back to life, and thanks to Dave. So Dave, this is amazing.
It is amazing. You know, the car is, I was commenting earlier that most cars this old are in the boneyard somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to, well, the car wasn't in bad shape, but we were able to just tear it down to the bare frame and redo it all and put new parts or rebuild a lot of the parts. And so we did a few changes to the color, but the scheme is still the same, and the car turned out, I think, excellent. It's ready to go race.
It's a beautiful car. I mean, it's a work of art. It's awesome to hear it. One of my questions for you is, what did it feel like to actually go ahead and, all of a sudden something that you worked on so long ago is now back in your hands, and the fact that it's, his son bringing it to you, was it nostalgic? What did it feel like?
When I first built this car, LYN had me drive it with him, and so when I was able to take, I forget what race it was up in Nevada somewhere, and so the car means a lot to me, the fact that I was able to drive it, and after building it, that cool. He gave me that opportunity, and so it's been a something that having it all of a sudden come back to the shop, 30 years later, Mike, calls me up one day and tells me, that he wanted to restore it. And then I said, all right. So he brought it up, and a big pile of parts. And we literally, it was just, he had a trailer and we just unloaded parts and
wow.
And everything. And we just, like I say, we took it to the bare frame and sandblasted it. It was kind of hard to get the paint off it. I think it was powder coated. And so I had a guy that he struggled at it, but he got it down, and then we were able to look for any problems that we needed to address. And then we just started the process, and Mike was able to get new parts for it. A lot of the parts that were on the car were outdated, and so we didn't want to use those parts, and so we put new coolers and new seats and seat belts and rebuilt all the transmission, the motor, the shocks. Everything is all fresh. All the brakes, the master cylinders, everything is new.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting. Obviously, as time has gone on, what are we, 31, 32 years later, and how technology and everything else changes. It is kind of cool to see some of the changes that you've made. One of the things, looking at the photos, obviously the shocks, it was kind of neat looking at that and seeing the geometry being different than what it was on some of those original photos. It's really cool to see this. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I get the biggest kick out of, and I thought this was super neat, check this out, you guys, and you guys tell the story about this, because it's a beautiful car, and then you start looking at nice little details like this. One of you guys want to tell the story how these came about?
So that was at the Barstow 250. They had it in July. It was the fireworks 250, and there was a big rise, kind of like this, and you came down the hill, and at the bottom there's a big G out, and it was known for dumping cars. And my dad came down, hit that thing, and it just shot the car straight up on its side, and it landed on the driver's side, which, put the battle wounds on it.
I love it.
And he got out, and he there were some guys out in a 4-wheel drive, came over and flipped the car back over, and he took off again. But
And got him going.
yeah,
It's awesome. I mean, it's so cool. I mean, that's definitely a nice little taste of the past, and I guess down here as well, huh?
yeah.
Just super cool.
Well, you know, a lot of this stuff, when you restore cars, you don't have to redo everything, you know. So this type of thing, it keeps the car original.
Yep.
And so we're a lot of stuff is new, but most of it we didn't really want to change everything on the car. We wanted to keep it the way it was built 30 years ago, and the way we did things, and so it still works today, but it's all fresh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, I mean, you guys will see in some of the video of Mike running up and down the hill here. It's such a killer sound, and just the way the thing actually runs the suspension, it's impressive. Very cool. You had mentioned what size engine?
It's a 3-liter Type 4.
Okay.
It's got a transactional engineering automatic transmission.
Wow, look at that thing. It's now one of the things. Speaking of details, actually, Dave, if you want to touch on that, is or actually, who was telling me about the filter there for the helmet?
Oh, the Parker Pumper filtration filter.
And that's original.
That's original. I think it's
Love it.
32 years old.
Uh-huh.
And Harold, the owner of Parker Pumper, he was amazed. I took it in and he put it on his little thing and wired it up to make it work. And he was like, "Dude, this is crazy. This thing's still going and blowing, you know."
That's cool.
So we reuse it. I could have bought another one and put it, but he said, "Hey, leave it on, put a new filter on it, and use it."
No, that is cool. I think it is really neat. You know, like you're saying, I mean, it's got updated items, but yet you still have a lot of the nostalgia still left to it. So,
well, you know, a lot of the new Class 5 cars, or most of them now, when they're being built, they're running Ecotech motors, and so they've gotten away from the Volkswagen. And this we didn't want to take the air-cooled motor out of it, and so it you know, keeps it the date of, you know, that we keep that intact. You know,
Yeah.
we're not changing that because it's but we have done upgrades, you know, with the air cleaners and stuff, because we want to keep the motor alive.
right.
And with the coolers, we wanted to keep everything, you know, nice and cool when it's being raced. So it's some of the things that we had to do to make it live. So it's,
And the safety factor, you know, the new seats and belts and fire system,
Right.
you know, all of that. That was a big part of it. You know, it's keeping it safe too.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, one of the other things that I got a kick out of, and I don't know if folks that are watching, you can actually see it from the video, but this is based off of, it's a 67 convertible. So there you go, you guys. Don't throw your convertible away if it's too rusty. Turn it into something like this.
This is the original quarter panel off the 67, original door and window frame.
That is wild. Very cool. And I'll tell you, the other thing that was kind of neat, and I mean, this whole trip's been nostalgic for me, and you know, getting to see it through your eyes and everything. But when we first got in to drive up here, I asked you if this was the first time you'd driven it, and you said it was. Well, how did that feel?
It's again, it's the first time since it's been built. It was hard when we hung the body. Dave and I both were like, "Oh my gosh, look at this thing! It's back!" You know, and to drive it for the first time again, it was just like, I don't know, just a lot of emotions, and you know, just thinking. I know my dad's proud of it.
Oh yeah. There's no way that he wouldn't be. You know, I think it is so cool, and you know, I think he's here. You know, and being a part of it, and especially, I mean, the fact that you know, that you're here, and I mean, this is definitely reliving the moment. So, you know, congratulations to both of you guys for actually, you know, not just bringing something back to life, but doing an exceptional job at, you know, really overdoing yourselves. I think this is awesome, you guys.
Thank you. And this is the same spot that we did the first shoot at 31 years later. So that's what's really is it's amazing that we're standing here doing this again.
Yep.
On the same ground at the same exact spot.
I think it was deserving for sure. For sure. In fact, I remember when Mike said, "Hey, that palm tree, that same palm tree, it's still there."
The cactus is still there.
Yeah, cactus. I mean,
So it's a little worn out, but it's still there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
No, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's the tack. That's original.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
That was original.
Wow.
My dad always wanted where he get the tattletale on it. I think Dave has a story about that, don't you?
Oh yeah, when we first finished the car, Lynn came up and we took it out to a dry lake out here in Joshua Tree, and we ran it across the dry lake and on some roads, and so it was a single seater. It only had just the driving seat in it, and it had a spare tire over there. It's been converted to a two-seater, and so I didn't realize what the tack was able to do, and so I went out and tested it and came back, and Lynn walks up to it and he pushes the recall button and it went up to like 6,500 RPM. And he goes, "Oh, you're running a little hard, aren't you?" And I go, "Oh, I didn't know that was it." So it was kind of a funny thing about that tack.
Funny tattletale nag.
Yeah, it had a tattletale though. I got busted. But that it wasn't hurting it, but he had to give me a comment on that.
Some of the cool features too, like we were talking about the body, is, you know, the doors actually still work.
That's awesome.
You know,
The original mechanisms.
the doors were all gusseted so that they would go around the frame, so that it widened the inside of the car up.
That's cool.
But everything still works.
Yep, just like me.
Yeah, it's impressive. So now that, you know, it's done and so forth, did I hear you correctly when we were driving up here? You're gonna race this?
We want to race it. We want to do probably a Nora 1000 or 500 with it.
Awesome.
Which the Nora races started out as for vintage, bring back the old cars, go have a good time. You know, they do it as a rally concept, so you have stages and that during the day, and then you have a few beers and dinner and talk about, you know, race things that happen during the day, and everybody just hangs out, good camaraderie.
Sounds
you know,
like fun.
And then go back racing the next day.
There you go.
You know, and you don't beat them up too much, because we put a lot of love into this car.
Oh yeah.
You know, my younger daughter and my older daughter want to run it too, and so they have a powder puff race out in
Awesome.
was it
Barstow.
Moore?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Moore puts on a powder puff race, so they want to get their feet wet with the car.
Cool.
So,
wow. If Grandpa only knew, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, he might be going, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They're gonna have to pass a test first.
Yeah, I think so.
But
That's cool.
Brings back to the safety
Yep.
aspect of making everything good again and safe again, and make sure it's good for them or whoever drives it.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, congratulations, you guys.
Well,
this is
thank you.
very, very cool. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. And it's an amazing story, and you also see the story. So obviously go ahead and keep watching us, and keep checking out Hot VWs, you guys, because it's going to be a pretty cool little issue, especially when you see the then photo and the now photo. It's, I'll tell you, it'll get you. So thanks for watching, Mike.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dave. Well done.
All right.
Awesome, you
appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Eddie.
Thank you. See you guys. Thanks for
Take care.
watching.